Welcome to Cindy's Library. I am Cindy, and today I'm going to talk about what I will be reading in the month of July, and specifically is Jane Austen July. Yay! So very exciting. So, what are the challenges this year? Good question. Well, first, the group read is Lady Susan. So that is lengthwise, I guess you call it closer to a novella. It's still that it's basically a bunch of letters back and forth between the various characters. That's one I've read before, but it's very fun. Lady Susan is quite the character. Can't call her really a good person, but you gotta admire her determination. You gotta give her that. That's quite amazing. So that is the group read this year. Looking forward to it. And then read one of Jane Austen's novels. Well, I have two I have not read recently. Pride and Prejudice and Persuasion. Or not Persuasion, Emma. That's right. Hopefully I can get through both of these. Wish me luck. Pride and Prejudice is not one of the longer novels, but Emma is. And Pride and Prejudice is not one of the short novels either. Another challenge is to read something by Jane Austen that is not one of her major 6 novels. And so Lady Susan will count for that, but I'm thinking of continuing on with Jane Austen's letters. Hopefully I can get through another 31 or so letters this July, and I'll be a bit further in reading her letters, which will be quite interesting. Then there's also nonfiction about Jane Austen, and for that I have several choices. I have Jane Austen, Early and Late, which I have heard good things about. I have not yet read Jane Austen at Home, nor have I read The Real Jane Austen, A Life in Small Things. This one is by Paula Byrne. Jane Austen at Home is by Lucy Wordsley. Heard a lot about this one. And Jane Austen Early and Late is by Freya Johnson. But I may also decide to read this. I've already read the first few, but this is A Truth Universally Acknowledged, 33 Great Writers on Why We Read Jane Austen. And I've only read the first few, so I may decide to work on this. I don't think I can go wrong with any of those, though. Then there are the novels which are somehow tied to Jane Austen. Modern novels, I mean. So Jane Austen features as a character, or it could be a retelling. The two I have here are retellings. Longbourn by Joe Baker. I've heard interesting things about this. This is a story of Pride and Prejudice from the servant's perspective. Could be interesting. Have high hopes for it. And Charlotte by Helen Moffat. So in Pride and Prejudice, we know that that Elizabeth's friend and cousin Charlotte, she's ends up marrying Mr. Collins. And so, what exactly happens after that? I mean, we see a little glimpse of that when uh, Elizabeth visits Charlotte at Rosings parsonage. But really, how does this marriage even work? I would say, or not work, except back then, generally speaking, you really had to make it work, whether you liked it or not, one way or another. So that could be very interesting too. I've also got oh, what is it called? Oh, The Murder of Mr. Wickham, which I've already started. Basically, we have a bunch of Jane Austen characters visiting, I forget the name of the estate, uh, but it's not Emma's father's estate. It is Mr. Knightley's estate. And we get people from Pride and Prejudice, from Northanger Abbey, from Sense and Sensibility, Persuasion, and Mansfield Park, all there. When who should arrive but Mr. Wickham? Yep. And uh, half the people have reason to hate him just when he shows up, and it doesn't take long for the other half to hate him as well. Of course, he is forced to stay due to the weather, whether Emma or Mr. Knightley like it or not, or anyone else. And before the weather clears, lo and behold, Mr. Wickham is found dead. Pretty much everyone had a motive to do it, but who actually did it? I admit I've been having fun with this one, but we'll see if I am in the mood to continue it. The other one was, let's see, I have coming, I think it's called The Year Between. At the end of Sense and Sensibility, we are told that Eleanor and Edward marry, and then about a year later, Marianne and Colonel Brandon marry, which is all well and good. But what happens in that year? How is Eleanor and Edward's marriage going? And how exactly does Colonel Brandon win Marianne? I mean, by the time that she leaves, what is his name? Well, actually, don't think it's Mrs. Jennings' house, but is her daughter and son-in-law's house that they stop by on their way home from London, and Marianne gets so sick. So, by the end of those events, that Colonel Brandon has finally earned some notice and respect, along with everything else she has learned recently. But how does he get her to love her? That could be a very interesting story. And then the Jane Austen project. Something to do with Jane Austen and time travel, from what I've heard. So, obviously, I'm not going to get through all of those, but I don't think there are any bad choices there either. Let me see. One challenge is to read something by a contemporary of Jane Austen. So I think I'm going to go with Sir Walter Scott. I've wanted to give him an honest try. There's, and I'm probably going to listen to it. There's 3 options available on Audible. Let's see what my library has too. But on Audible, there is Ivanhoe, which I actually did read back in high school, but it's been way too long. I mean, I know the general story, sort of. Medieval setting, knight returned from the Crusades. You get Robin Hood. I think even Richard the Lionheart shows up at one point. And there are 2 very different gals in the story. And there's Waverly, which I've been wanting to give a try. But there's also the Talisman, and that's the shortest of them, so I may decide on that one. But I'm pretty sure I want to do Scott. I think I have a better chance with him than with some others I could think of. I mean, I could do Mariah Edgeworth or something like that, but that would be too close to Camilla, which I did back towards the beginning of the year. So I think Sir Walter Scott. That will be good. And then, of course, there are also watching challenges as well. For that, I think I'm in the mood for the 1995 Simpson Sensibility. Love that one. And for the Austen retelling, if I have the time, I might watch Bride and Prejudice. That might be a good way to introduce me to Bollywood, which I've heard good things about from my brother-in-law. Or if I don't have the time, I might just do Austenland, which is pretty loose, but it's a lot of fun too. So, looking forward to lots of Jane Austen in July. So, and think that is everything. If you're doing Jane Austen July, love to hear what you're going to be doing. If not, I'd still love to hear your reading plans for July. And yeah, I think that's it for this time. Thank you so much for stopping by. I truly do appreciate it. So until next time, I hope we all stay safe and healthy. And as always, happy reading.